I would like to begin by acknowledging the Algonquin people of Turtle Island, whose unceded and unsurrendered territory I live, work, and learn upon. However, the artworks that I will be considering and incorporating in this project have been created by the people of the Haida, Diné-Zah, Coast Salish, and Haisla territories. This is the northwest coast of Turtle Island and a truly beautiful side of the shell. As a child, I spent a considerable amount of time exploring these shores as I had family members who lived there. I have always appreciated the beauty of the northwest coast. There is a connection and passion for this land which seeps into the works of art that artists create there. It is beautiful, it is soulful, and it is so meaningful. Today we are seeing this landscape, the people, and their traditions once again being threatened by the impending construction of the pipeline and harsh settler actions. I have therefore focused this project on highlighting some of the art and messages that have been created by artists within communities from this left side of the Carapace. Miigwech, merci. Hawa, thank you.
Here we are at last, a long way from Haida Gwaii. Not too sure of where we are or where we're going, but somehow managing to appear to be heading in some direction. At least the paddles are together, and the man in the middle seems to have some vision of what is to come. As for the rest, they are superficially more or less what they always were, symbols of another time, when the Haidas, all 10,000 of them, knew they were the greatest of all nations. The bear, as he sits in the bow of the boat, broad back deflecting any unfamiliar, novel, or interesting sensation, eyes firmly and forever fixed on the past, tries to believe that things are still as they were. The bear mother, being human, is looking over his shoulder into the future, concerned more with her children than her legend.
Long after the wise and whimsical characters paddled away in the spirit of the Haida Gwaii, and long before Bill Reed sculpted them, an agenda was forming. European explorers set their sights on Turtle Island, and a narrative was concocted to make this a palatable expedition. It would become acceptable to take this land. Across Turtle Island, ships began to appear. With ships came explorers who sought to know more about this mysterious land. Returning home, they would speak of submissive yet wild concubines. These explorers would also return telling tales of violent and cannibalistic subhumans who would chase away those that might make good use of this wasted land.
What can you expect from filthy little heathens? Here's what you get when races are diverse. Their skins are hellish red. They're only good when dead. They're vermin, as I said, and worse. They're savages, savages. Barely even human. Savages, savages. Drive them from our shore. They're not like you and me, which means they must be evil. We must stop the drums of war. They're savages, savages. Dirty, shrieking devils. Now we sound the drums of war.
On the eastern shores, insidious takeover was well underway. How best to proceed in order to capture the rest of this beautiful turtle's back? By the mid to late 1800s, the trope of the mythical red-skinned demon could no longer hold water. With boatloads of settlers arriving, they were realizing firsthand that these stories were a fallacy. Nonetheless, sharing Turtle Island was proving difficult, especially with so much desired land at stake. A new narrative infiltrated the political scene, the religious establishment, and the educational system. Simply put, we needed to fix them.
We play with power. It's very symbolic to kill it in this manner, and I wanted to kill it, and I wanted to make sure that it was dead, and I wanted to be the first Indian to shoot it.
Using Coast Salish cosmology, Northwest Coast formal design elements, and the Western landscape tradition, Uxwalupton utilizes his art in a way to explore political, environmental, and cultural issues. This was stated by Moya on Uxwalupton's website. Lawrence Paul Uxwalupton is the creator of many moving pieces that depict a story which tells about the realities which face his relatives on the Northwest Coast. He adds color, humor, and power, which loudly contradicts the tropes that would paint his people as meek and wanting. From what we can see depicted in Uxwalupton's art, these settler-driven narratives have no place on the Coast Salish shores.
Nasiaya, thikum quinansab, hydrocasium, Nasiaya, anthascaclia, talitin, homasquimasteo. Donna tenta dolama, Donna mensa trumpkin, heights qua, meets up queen namet, a well mocht tamas. Nasiaya, Thana sosila, merely, Eleanor Hosim, said something, Hayabalano, a will see muhtuk. Cut the quatha, siala qua f, quis you tetsu, slasa, eat on a tamu. When on a quam, swallow in, ton a while. When on a quam, swallow in, ton a while. I stukes in, Sun Ciela Qua. Nasiya, Stetson White Stomachs in Stetson, I know, hide den Scrollen, kurz nie, kurz Name. Dann im Stale, Stetson White Stomachs in Stetson, I know, hide den Scrollen, kurz nie, kurz Name.
The criminalization of ceremonial and traditional items ensured a grand collection was accumulated from many museums across Turtle Island. As Robin suggests, we are drawn to the obvious power and expressiveness of such items. Yet the word items truly sullies what some of these creations were intended for. Through acts of artistic resurgence, Indigenous artists on the Northwest Coast have reclaimed the telling of their stories through traditional mediums, and this shifts the narrative to reflect their own voices and those of their people. Simpson asserts that resurgence is an emergent and generative process whose purpose is to regenerate Indigenous criticality. As evidenced in his creations, Brian Junjin, a Diné artist from British Columbia, refuses to replicate the logics of settler colonialism.
City police say they will investigate claims that they used excessive force in arresting a group of Native demonstrators Sunday if a formal complaint is received, amid charges of police violence and halting the protest March 11th. These are kind of the stories I would have read as a kid. They would have made me feel really bad about being Native. And I think that's the case with a lot of folks. In mass media, you're kind of always portrayed in either like a sympathetic or very negative way.
Hell nah, we won't go, boy. Welcome here to my side. I'm from the people of the snow, boy. That mean I thrive in the wintertime. Yeah, I'm what they call a savage kid. My family tree is bigger than the Old and New Testament. I put a fist up. That's word they're calling Kaepernick. Somebody gotta stand for it. Tell them who you want. So beware, we black snake killers. Blackfish, I've been a killer. We're the ones you can't get rid of. Sound familiar? Yeah, long hair, that Ric Flair. Nature boy from the village. GE, for really, really, you see, I don't rock and roll. Nah, I stand and rock. Yeah, I think there's something in the water. Here's some food for thought. Is it really a felony for wanting my water clean? Expect us not to rage against the machine. Ain't moving like Rosa P. Nope. You know why? Cause this dream catcher ain't catching your pipe dream. Word. Look what happened in Flint. No disrespect, but the same thing happens to village kids that sip water from the tap and are dying to live from the cancer it gives. Where's the state of emergency for them? I don't know. Act like you know the story. Broken treaties, unholy matrimony. One nation, under the creator, homie. All my relations, many with Choni. Warriors, come out and play. Officers, we're here to stay. Put a fist to the sky if you ride with me. As long as I'm alive, I'll stand for this.
Martin, Inisek, and Moore explains that storytelling allows for a means to resist the privileging of text and dominant cultural constructions. Indigenous artists weave stories through their canvases and sculptures and music. This holds a mirror to the world that surrounds us. I want to thank these artists of the Northwest Coast who helped me tell a story today. Artists such as Yixwilupton and Junjin, as well as the other artists, musicians, and poets featured herein, counter the damage-centered and settler-driven narratives with their bold and beautiful works. May they long continue to tell stories that inform, inspire, and shock us into realizing the power and resilience of their territories and their people.